Here we are again, welcome back. Suffolk, 14-inch early punch. So, haven't done a video for a couple of weeks. Progress has been a bit slow, but yeah, last week we've got on and done a little bit. So, I was just trying to think. This is probably part 11, something like that. It's taking its time, as these things do. But I don't think there's any real rush, and it's supposed to be enjoyable. So anyway, I'm enjoying it. So since last video, I've done the green painting, and we were talking about red, weren't we? And well, the orange as it is. And the orange I got, I think, was a little bit too orangey. Didn't quite look as the Suffolk originally would. So anyway, so I've been playing about with some dark red and mixed it up, and I've got it reasonably close now. So I've sprayed, I had the engine cowling in the tank sandblasted, and we've had 2 coats of primer, and I've done 2 coats of top. So that's the orange that it's turned out. It's a little bit darker than what it was, so I think it's a bit closer to the original. So anyway, I'm quite happy with it. It's not terribly shiny, but does it really matter? But it looks okay. So there isn't really a lot of red to do, so it's really this really. On the later Suffolks, the handlebars would have been painted red, but being an early one, they're green. So there isn't much there to talk about. Little paint really. Yeah, I bought 500 mils. I've still got plenty of it left, so it'll keep for another time. So again, it's just you and me, and I'm going to get you a bit closer, and then we'll have a look at the cutting cylinder, and I think we'll get cracking on the engine. So I'm going to bring you in. And do this smoothly as possible. So we can see what's going on. Right, going a little bit closer still. That's good. Well, I hope you can see. Right. So, yeah, the cutting cylinder, I've ground that and sharpen the new bottom blade. Now, I mean, as you can see, I mean, luckily, I think had the new bottom blade been very thin, I could have run out of adjustment, but you can probably see the cylinder was quite bad, and I had to have it on the grinder for quite some time. It was fairly worn to start with, but you can see how little left there is. That sort of edge there should be probably another 5 mil, something like that, but you can see how worn it is. But having said that, the new bottom blade was thick, and there's still plenty of adjustment left on the adjusters, so it's going to be okay. But it's come up quite well, and it cuts paper nicely, so I can't ask for more than that. Bearings, I reused those, greased them up. I've got one of them, I've lost one of them actually. I rather like these little brass oilers. I've lost the other one, the other side, but I will try and find it. That will finish it off. So that's more or less the cutting unit done. Probably in the next couple of weeks we'll try and get the rest of it back together. So we're getting there, we're getting there. So I think we're going to get cracking on the engine next. So let's get that cutting unit out of the way. So last video we took the cylinder head off it, and I just popped it back on there just to keep the rubbish out of it. And it all looks very good in there, apart from it's got a stuck exhaust valve. As we can see, we'll just check it again. So yes, we can see, hopefully, see there. So we've got the inlet, which is that one, which is going up and down nicely, but the exhaust is stuck. Quite a common thing on certainly side valve engines that have been hanging around, being used. But it all looks quite good in there. And there's a little bit of movement. It's tempting to just give it a sort of a valve job, clean it all up and leave it as it is. But I think seeing I've gone to the fuss of and the effort of doing the rest of it, I think it would be worth stripping it right down, and for the sake of a set of piston rings and gaskets, we'll put a set in there, and I can give the engine block a really good clean and make that look good as well whilst it's all in bits. So yeah, we'll go stripping it down. So I think the first thing we need to do is get the centrifugal clutch off. There's a little pinch bolt there and it's on a key, so I'm hoping it'll come off all right. So as it just so happens, 1/4 inch drive on these, it fits nicely. So let's see if we can undo that. I think I'll just take it right out and get a little bit of oil in there. Right, what do we need? We need a hammer. Right, let's get a hammer. That all looks in fairly good nick. We'll put our little pinch bolt back in. I will service the clutch up as well, but typically, like a lot of the Suffolk stuff, they're so well made that there's still plenty of meat on the shoes, and I think with a good clean up, that clutch will be fine. So we'll take our Woodruff key out. Right, so I think we'll take the carburettor off next. As we said, that's not the original carburettor, but I've got one. So we'll take that off. Always a bit awkward, these manifold bolts. Later Suffolks had a screwdriver slotted screw, which was a bit easier. Don't want to break this manifold, that part, because obviously that's the original and I'm very, very short of those. It's made out of that funny sort of very brittle metal. It won't take much to break it. So let's get this I mean, if you've not done a Suffolk and unsure, the governor system's very, very simple. Obviously that's a throttle spring, it's an air vane governor. Just take a photo of it. It's very simple, not much to it. I don't think it'd be difficult to get it wrong. But anyway, so we're going to unhitch it from, it's a little dog leg on the carburettor, butterfly, we'll do that. And then this spring looks like it has seen better days. Screws coming out, so I might just put the other one in there. I mean, what's surprising about this is, I think it's quite typical. When you look at the exhaust pipe, I'm pretty sure that's the original. You think how old this is. You know, there's not many, you can feel it's still good and chunky. So, just going to clean that up, I think. So, Flywheel. As all the Suffolks, or the Suffolk made Suffolk engines, not the Tecumseh Broadcast, the nut is left-handed thread. So just remember when undoing, so we're going to undo that. And obviously being an early Suffolk, you've got the cup rope starter. And as I get quite excited about, this is the early Flywheel with these straight fins on. They obviously uprated them, I guess, the later Flywheels. I've got one we can have a quick look at. Yes. So that's what's fitted to the slightly. The fitting's the same, but you can see the fins are curved on it. So it's a slightly different fitting, or on the fins anyway. Well, I guess this probably cools a bit better. I don't know with those rounded fins, but you really don't see many of those. So. Nice to get that. So what we're going to need for this one, what I've done in the past, when you've got the later Flywheels, I'm not sure whether I can do it with this. I might be able to do it. Yeah, I've used, this is one of the spacers for the starter with the recoil start. It's one of the spacer blocks you have when you've got the recoil start. I've used this as a puller and it seems to work quite well. You can buy some quite nice pullers on eBay, but if it's a bit of a one-off, you might not really, you know, it would be a one-time use tool possibly, I don't know. Anyway, I mean, in the Suffolk manual, they tell you to lever the flywheel and clamp the crankshaft, but I don't really like doing it. It's a left-handed thread, and there's always a risk of damaging it. So I found whether it's going to work on this early one, if we can find whether there's going to be, whether these three will line up, I don't know. Let's have a look anyway. So we've got, one, two, three. The later flywheels have just got two, so I was using those two outer. So whether this one, that one, and that one will line up, I don't know. Let's have a look. I think it's going to. that one's missing a nut, so I need to just go and get another screw. These are 1/4 Whitworth, or UNC will do. So we will screw that on there, that one on there. Whether we've got enough to do that. Sure, I think I'm going to need a longer one like that, because you do need to get plenty of thread into the flywheel so that we're not going to pull the threads out. So, right, I've got nylock nuts there, which obviously they don't spin up very easily. Let's see if we can find a longer one like that one. So, struggling a bit. That one's a little bit longer, but it's countersunk. I don't think it really matters. But anyway, let's get that one in. Try to keep your hands out of the shot if I can. Right, so we will get, I'm just going to cross over and go into the right. So that's what we've got. So that goes in there. That's good. Good. So whether we've got room for a little bit of metal. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's what I used. Just a little bit of metal on the last one, and we're going to slip it if it will go in there. A little bit too wide, really. Backing those off a bit, whether that will help a little or not. We've got plenty of thread in the flywheel. And I think you noticed I've got the nut on the end of the crankshaft to just give it a bit of protection. Right. So fairly square. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start pulling these down evenly. Hopefully, the flywheel. There we are. That's it. That's good. What we wanted. You can on these Suffolks, you can, I think nearly all of them, you've got these little inspection covers, you can clean and set the points through that if you really didn't want to take the flywheel off, but it's no bother really. Right, let's have a look, let's see what it's looking like. more importantly, let's see if we've got any cracks in this flywheel. Get a bit of rag. Let's have a look. So I'm hoping it's all right. Yeah, no, it looks okay. Yeah, if it's ever been left loose, you end up with a sort of crack between the keyway slot and... So it looks good. I'm really pleased because that's a nice early flywheel. So yeah, it looks a bit sort of unloved in there, doesn't it? But yeah, we can take that off. I can test the coil and condenser. It's very likely the condenser's probably shot, and it looks like there's enough meat on the points to clean those up, which is good. So hopefully it's not going to take too much to service this. So let's take that right off, because we need to get this stator off to get to the 4 backplate screws to start stripping the engine. I'm hoping that these washers have marked it and I won't need to mark it myself, but we'll see. I suppose again, if you haven't done one of these, because I think you can get it the wrong way up, I think that whole stator will go the other way round. So just take a picture. I think it's probably fair to say that it's marked it enough. Take that one off. Yeah, there's markings, washer markings. We take the suppressor. Should just, they are. Two screws there. So the other little thing I would be looking at is the points cam to see whether that looks like it's in good order. Looks quite good so far. It's not little scoring, so I think that's going to go again. So we need to take obviously this off to remove the back plate, so it's just the Woodruff key out, and then we can undo the 4 securing screws. Right, let's get a socket and some side cutters. So I normally use a pair of side cutters. Most of the time they come out somehow. So look, we've got the cam, and then there's a wavy washer, should be, yes. Don't lose that. Like that. So we'll take all of those off. We'll put those in the flywheel. We won't lose those. In fact, let's put them in one of these. Good. Right. So we're nearly ready for the back plate. Didn't drain the oil out of it. There's not much in these anyway, so hopefully I'm not going to spill too much. There won't be any in there, who knows. So let's get that out of the way. With my dustpan and brush, but... Right, so the back plate should, with a gentle tap, I think we'll have the rubber hammer, should just come off. So I think what we'll do, we will take the sump off and then we can tip it over and then we can start getting the guts out. There's only 2 bolts holding the sump. That one is tight. Got a feeling I'm going to have to warm the exhaust up to get that off. It's looking quite rusty. Right, let's give that a gentle tap. See how much oil's in there, if there is. Got 2 dowel pins on there which sometimes make them a little bit difficult to get off, but should come off. There we are. One there, one the other side. So we have got a little bit of oil in there. Always nice to see. Let's put that over there. So here we go. So that is all you have to a Suffolk. No cam belts, just a side valve, simple side valve engine. Be basic. And I'll see if we can just get it set so we can see. I think what we'll do is we'll take the piston out first, and then we can see what we're dealing with. So I think what we'll do, we'll just clean any of the, these feel quite good. Just want to clean any carbon around there, so when we knock the piston out, we're not going to damage it. Got a feeling this, yeah, I would say this has been apart before, because you can see the big end screws there, the little tabs have not been bent back over. I think well, they're unlikely, if they were done up, they're unlikely to come undone, but normally they'd be folded over a bit. One obviously on that side and one on the other. So at some point, somebody has put, or they've been inside it. So let's undo that. they wouldn't have come undone. They were done up nicely. Don't think the dipstick here, the dipper, I don't think there's a right and a wrong way for that, so I really don't think it matters with that, which way you put it. Very simple system, isn't it? Just a bit of metal dipping up and down in the oil, and that's all it needs. Take that off. Put that in there. So I think that the big end cap there, you do need to make sure that it goes the way that you took it off. So marking it's probably going to be the answer. With a bit of paint or something like that. What have we got? Well, I might just scratch it so I can just I can put it back as I found it. So let's just mark that. Let's see how scored it is. Ooh, that's quite good. Yeah, that's looking quite good, that. Right, so if we go to top dead centre, hopefully we can push the piston through the top. One piston. I think the trouble is quite often mowers do tend to get sort of slightly abused and oil's not changed as often as it should. Most of these small ones don't have any bearings, so they do rely on regular oil changes, but that looks surprisingly good. Might have been replaced, who knows. So I'm quite pleased with that. I will put it on the crankshaft and check it later. So here we go. So this is we're going to do just have a look at the timing before we start pulling the crankshaft out. Now I don't know whether, if I turn it, what we've got on the Suffolks, very simple. Right, so I'm going to see if hopefully you can see. So that the crankshaft mark is that one there. And on the camshaft, we should have a little line or a dot. So I'm just going to, before we disturb it, I'm just going to turn it until, hopefully, I can see something lined up. Right. So what you could do, if you're unsure, you could sort of use some Tipp-Ex, but I hope you can see, but poke the screwdriver. So that's the camshaft timing mark, and the little crankshaft one is opposite. So just before we pull it all out the crank, we just check it, make sure they line up, and then as long as we put it back that way, your timing's going to be right. So that's easy. How about that? So we just pull the crank out. See, we might just give it a bit of a tap. On crankshaft. There's our mark there. Actually, there is one bush, and I think there is yes. Actually, in fact, there's two. I think they're called white metal bushes. There's one on the PTO shaft, and then there's also one on the flywheel backplate. But the conrods don't have any shells, so the importance of regular oil changes. So yes, I think all it is now is I'm going to, let's get these gaskets off. These dowels should stay in there. They're normally quite tight, so I don't think they're going to come out. No. So it's going to be removing the valves. They're quite easy. Let's get the little valve chest off. Normally with these Suffolks, you can see the valve chest. Look, it's got the little breather exit pipe. Normally it pokes out towards the PTO side of the engine. Probably wouldn't matter if you put it the other way around, but that's the way they normally go, so you can see it there. So let's undo this. Lose our washer. So you've got the little baffle next. And then you've got the little breather assembly should be underneath it. So that's the baffle. There isn't, I don't think you can get it the wrong way around. That is the way it goes. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so, and that's the little breather. It's a little washer in the middle. Sits in the middle. There's a spring and there's a little holder. So you've just got to watch when you take it out that you don't lose that spring. So the spring is holding it all down. So if we get a screwdriver and I just tease it out. That's the little spring that holds it down. Make sure you do put this. It is important, this little breather. If you get this wrong, it'll probably still run, but you'll end up blowing oil out all over the place. So I'll just get that out for the moment. So the order is, we're going to give it a thorough clean up, probably not very easy to see with my black gloves. But so you've got the spring, you've got the little retainer, and then underneath should be a little fibre. There we are, and that's the little breather valve. When it's clean, it's probably looking reddy colour. That's the little bit that's very easy to lose. See that round dish, and it sits in its little holder there, and on the bottom there's two little legs and they locate in the actual engine block, so it all sits quite neatly, but you do need to clean this lot out thoroughly. It needs to be nice and clean. So that's the breather. So the valves, the Suffolks are, they haven't got clips, they're held on by pins. So what we need to do, we need to force the springs down. You can get valve spring compressors, but you'd need quite a small one for these, and they're not hefty great springs, so we should be able to get those out without a tool. So let's get some long nose pliers. That's probably the most important thing we're going to need for that. So let's have a look. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to try and force the, lift it so it's the inlet first. the inlet, that should come out. The inlet, you can see the little hole the pin goes through. A lot of the time with most engines, the inlet spring is lighter than the exhaust, so don't mix them up. There is to it, so the spring retainer, so you can see it goes with our little pin in there. The valve, actually the inlet one looks quite good, but it'll be cleaned and we'll lap those in. The exhaust, which is the seized up one, it would make it easy if I'd taken the exhaust off, but I haven't. So let's try and flip that one up. Expose the so they've got these little slots in the valves which you can turn them and you can lap them in that way. So that one is quite tight. Tap. Right. So the little pin's at an angle, which is making it difficult to get to. I have got to turn that valve somehow, so let's see if we can do that. Yes, okay. Right, it's difficult to see, but now the little pin is facing me, so let's see if we get that out. Stubborn. Right. So if I turn the camshaft, there we go, we can just open the valve. And this is the exhaust, which was the one that was sticking. And as you can see, it's not very easy to get out. So I expect it's just very coked and rusted up. There we go, right. You can see what that's like. Needs a really good clean up. And we'll definitely lap it in. Look, oh yeah, the seat looks quite rough. So again, we'll get the spring and the retainer out and we'll keep that with the exhaust valve. Not much room to work in this little valve chest, but luckily the spring's quite light and easy, so it shouldn't cause you too many troubles. Good. So there we are. A bit of dirt in there, that will all get cleaned. Again, we'll push our spring with the exhaust valve. Try not to lose anything. Good. Right, we're getting there. We're getting there. The camshaft should just knock out. There's the pin there. So it's not essential to take it out, but I think we're going to. I may have the engine block sandblasted, so we've got to really completely strip it down. So anyway, let's have a look, because it's only knocked in there, so we'll just see if there's, sometimes these pins come out easier than others, but we'll just see if it's going to be willing. It is. There we are. Right, so it's coming out there. So let's have a tap. Oh, there we go. This one's coming out nice and easily. Good, lovely. I must admit, I didn't expect it to come out quite that easy. Sometimes they can be really quite tight, these pins. And what will happen, the tappets underneath, we will expose those, and again, we don't really want to mix them up. So there we go, there's our camshaft. That'll get cleaned up nicely. Don't think there's any shims on the end there. No, I don't think so. Can't see any there, so that's our camshaft. And we can see our tappets. So the left-hand one is the exhaust. We'll keep that with the exhaust. So it's just, I haven't really got anything suitable, but it's just, if we can get an X on there. Not ideal, but I'll put that one with the exhaust valve. Yep. So I'll keep that one with the exhaust valve. And then the inlet. Like I say, if I was a bit more organised, I'd had a pen or something. Marker pen to mark that. I'm not. So we got it. So it's all in bits. I think I might just knock the pin back through lightly. So we, apart from the exhaust pipe, we can't take much more apart. It's completely apart. The only thing I'd like to do with you here, we'll just see what the cylinders like and the rings. So let's have a look. So we'll just clean that out. This will get honed out, obviously. So it feels good, actually. It does feel good. So what we'll do, let's have the oil ring off, and then we'll just see how worn these rings were. So we'll try and get it off without breaking it. Piston, there we are. Right. So what we can do, we're just going to pop it in the bore and then see what sort of a gap we've got. So I don't know whether you can see, I've seen a lot worse. See the gap. Let's get the feelers out and see what it is. We'll just measure it while we're there. Suffolk will give you a wear limit, like any engine manufacturers will give you a wear limit, but I can almost, well, we can see that it's way past that. So 24 thou, let's have a look. It's much bigger than that. I've got a feeling it's going to be about 50 thou, so there's a 24, 25. So let's put those together. Got nearly 50 thou there. well, it goes on. I can get at least 50 thou in there, so I think it was worth stripping it down. I've got quite a few sets of standard rings. I think it's a standard piston. Don't think it's been bored, but I'll soon know when I get some rings in there. Quite often they do mark the pistons with the oversize on it, but don't think there's anything on there, so I'm hoping it's standard. But so yeah, yeah, these rings. Right, I'm going to put you back over there. Good. So there we go. I don't think we can do much more today. The plan is I shall give it a clean up. I will probably ask my old mate Ben to sandblast it, and then obviously I've got to thoroughly clean it out. I'll probably hone the cylinder first, and then it'll get a thorough clean out. The oil seal, I'll pick the oil seal out of there, out of the back plate as well. I've obviously got to get the exhaust off. Well, I don't have to, but I'll try and get the exhaust off if I can. So the engine's almost, well, it is, it's as stripped as it almost can be. But lovely things to work on. They are. Easy peasy. And again, a lot of the bits are available, eBay, such like. So I think we're going to be able to do something with it. So anyway, there you go. Yeah, a reasonably long video. I'm going to hopefully get some progress for next week. Got plenty to do. At some point, we'll start putting the mower back together. So, yeah, lots to get on with. All good fun. So yeah, the dirty part starts next. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was useful. And thank you for watching. And I will see you on the next video. Bye for now.